Alright, so today we're gonna discuss about one topic in sociolinguistics that I'm really interested in. It's about first language acquisition, wild and isolated children. So it becomes interesting thing to know whether children would be able to acquire the language through experiencing it, or they just speak their original language of humankind. It is one of the fundamental tasks of psycholinguistics to explain how children learn language, which separate into two distinct: speech production and speech comprehension. At birth, we can comprehend or produce speech, not to the age of 4 years. We all learn the basic of our language. Although it is around passives, elaborate scientific structure, and bunch of vocabularies, at the age they start to face and overcome the obstacle in language learning. And this is true for children with whatever the language they have. However, still, there are some questions about it. It is also true to the isolated children, or would a child grown in the total isolation develop a language? And how about the critical age issues for language learning occur towards them? And then, how about the isolated children? So, isolated children, or we could call it as a feral child, is a human child who has lived isolated from human contact from a very young age and has no or little experience of human care, loving, or social behavior, and crucially of a human language. Some feral children have been confined in isolation by other people, usually their own parents. In some cases, this child abandonment was due to the parents rejecting a child's severe intellectual or psychical impairments. So feral children may have experienced severe child abuse or trauma before being abandoned or running away, and they are lack the basic social skills they are normally to learn in the process of enculturation, or the process by which an individual adopts the behavior patterns of the culture in which he or she is immersed. So they almost always have impaired language ability and mental function. And the fact that feral children lack these abilities pinpoints the role of socialization in human development. Well, so consider, for example, that become the tragic history is the case of Jenny. Jenny was deprived not only of language input, but also of any sort of love or normal parental care. She most certainly had delayed and permanent problems with her language ability. She also had many developmental delays. So these are other examples of solitude and feral children. The first is Russian bird boy. So apparently this boy was raised by his mother in a teeny two-room apartment surrounded by bird cages. Confined in this apartment since birth, he never learned to speak, so instead he chirps like a bird. The boy was fed and cared for by his mother, but was never spoken to. After being rescued from his home in Kirovsky, Russia, by social workers, he was taken into care. And the second case is Jason Lopez. Jason was confined to a room by his parents between the ages of 4 and 9 when he was finally freed. In that time he was very little, so that by time he was released, he was about the size of 2 years old and weighed 8 kilograms. Jason can speak, can talk, can't walk, and the room he was confined to was dark, and he was dressed only in a disposable nappy. And the next case is a Rakum Pingyang, Cambodian jungle girl. So we call her Rakum. So she lost in the Cambodian jungle for 8 years. Rakum was lost in the Cambodian jungle at the age of 8 when herding buffalo with her sister. Her sister also disappeared. She was discovered on 13th January 2007. After a villager noticed some of his food had been taken, so the villagers staked out the area and sighted a naked woman stealing his rice. She was captured by villagers and she was unable to speak any intelligible language. She was recognized by her father. A policeman saw Lulong because of a scar on her back, and her parents have apparently agreed to a DNA test so her identity can be confirmed. So apparently she didn't like to wear clothes, shower, and or use chopsticks at first, but is thus having difficulty readjusting to normal life. Well said that the examples of wild and isolated children, actually there are a lot in other cases, but because our time is limited, so that just three examples cases that I took for this video. And last, I want to deliver what we get learned from these examples, that when a child is deprived of any human contact, they end up with a very improved linguistic system, as well as the light development of all cognitive abilities. And when a child is provided with the general attempts to communicate or normal interaction with people, even absent language, they develop a relatively sophisticated linguistic system. And when a child is provided with a linguistic input, they learn their native language normally in a way that almost seems like magic. So that's all from me regarding first language question about wild and isolated children. Thank you and see you.